The stars shimmered across the viewport of the human research ship Odyssey, drifting quietly through the border of alien-claimed space. Inside, Lieutenant Marcus Hale sat alone in the observation deck, a mug of cold coffee by his hand. He wasn't supposed to be awake, but sleep had long become a stranger. Outside that window he saw the same stars that once belonged only to human explorers, but now half of them carried alien flags. It had been 15 years since the war ended, yet the silence between species still felt heavy. The door hissed open, and Commander Liu stepped in, her expression calm but her eyes sharp. "Still awake?" she asked, crossing her arms. Marcus smiled faintly. "Couldn't sleep. The stars are too loud." Liu chuckled softly. "You know the diplomatic ship from the Alindra system docks tomorrow. Try not to offend them this time." Marcus rolled his eyes. "Hey, I only called their food interesting, not offensive." "Interesting is not a compliment in their language," Liu replied with a grin before leaving him to the silence again. He stared into the void, unaware that fate was about to play a cruel little joke. The next day, the Alindra envoy arrived, a delegation of tall, graceful beings with shimmering pale skin and silver eyes. They moved like water, spoke like wind, and made even the harsh light of the docking bay seem gentle. Among them was one figure who caught Marcus's attention instantly. She was slightly shorter than the others, wearing an elegant suit of soft blue fabric that glowed faintly with energy. Her eyes met his for only a second, but something unspoken passed between them. During the reception, Marcus was assigned as liaison, mostly because no one else wanted to handle alien protocol. He fumbled through his translation device, greeting them in broken Alindran, earning a few polite smiles. The woman with silver eyes, however, stepped closer and spoke perfect English. "I am Talara, Science Envoy of Alindra Prime. You are Lieutenant Hale, yes?" Her voice was calm, melodic, almost musical. Marcus nodded, surprised. "Yeah, that's me. Welcome aboard." She tilted her head slightly, observing him as if studying a new creature. "Your reputation precedes you, human who calls alien food interesting." He blinked, then laughed. "Guess I'm famous already." They talked for hours, walking through the observation deck, exchanging stories about stars, planets, and peace. For the first time in years, Marcus forgot the weight of the past. He found her intelligent, curious, and oddly charming, though her way of speaking was direct. When she mentioned that Alindrans had very different social customs, Marcus couldn't resist making a joke. "So if I said something like, 'You'd make a lovely wife,' you wouldn't take it as an insult, right?" He smirked, expecting her to laugh, but Talara didn't. She simply blinked once and said, "You honor me with your proposal, Lieutenant Hale, I accept." The room went dead silent. Marcus froze, mouth half open. "Wait, what?" I was joking." But the Alindran delegation turned their heads toward her, murmuring softly. One of them, an elder, stepped forward and placed his hand on Marcus's shoulder. A binding union between human and Alindran, a powerful symbol for peace. Marcus's face drained of color. No, this is a misunderstanding." But it was too late. The ship's captain was already receiving congratulations from the delegation. Talara smiled faintly, the corners of her eyes glinting with something unreadable. "Humans speak too easily, Lieutenant, but in Alindran law, words of union cannot be unsaid." He looked at her, searching for mockery but found none. Her gaze was steady, sincere, and oddly gentle. Marcus swallowed hard, realizing this alien woman had just changed his entire life with a single misinterpreted joke. As the delegation prepared to depart, the captain pulled him aside. "Do you realize what you've done? You just triggered the first interspecies marriage accord," Marcus groaned. "I was just trying to make her laugh." "Then pray she has a sense of humor," the captain replied, shaking his head. That night, Marcus returned to the observation deck. The stars outside seemed to twinkle brighter, mocking him. He whispered to himself, "She can't be serious, right?" But somewhere deep in the Alindran ship now heading home, Talara sat alone in her quarters looking at the stars. She whispered softly, "He said the words, and so it shall be." And for the first time in centuries, two worlds began to shift. One heartbeat at a time. 3 days after the proposal, Marcus Hale still couldn't believe what had happened. The ship's crew had turned him into a running joke, calling him the first husband of peace. Even the captain struggled not to smile whenever he entered the bridge. But behind the laughter, there was tension growing, a political storm building across two worlds. The Elindrans had sent an official message to Earth's diplomatic council. It read simply, "We accept the humans' union as a symbol of interspecies harmony." The council, desperate to strengthen ties after decades of distrust, didn't reject the offer. Instead, they replied, "Humanity acknowledges the union with respect and honor." And with those few words, Marcus's accidental marriage became official. He sat in his quarters, staring at the holographic message floating in front of him. It bore the Elindran royal seal, shimmering blue and silver. "Lieutenant Hale," it read, "you are hereby recognized as bond partner to Talara of Elindra Prime." He ran a hand through his hair, groaning. This can't be real. A soft chime echoed, and the ship's AI said, "Incoming private transmission from Talara." The hologram shimmered, revealing Talara standing in her quarters, her silver eyes calm as ever. "Lieutenant Hale," she greeted. "Or perhaps I should say husband." Marcus froze, his mouth half open. "You're not seriously going through with this, are you?" She tilted her head slightly. "On Elindra, words of union bind two souls, unless one renounces under oath before the elders. So I can fix this," Marcus said quickly. "Just renounce it, right?" Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. "Yes, but doing so would be a great insult to my people, and could break the peace we just began." Marcus slumped back in his chair. "So I'm stuck." Talara's expression softened. "Not stuck, joined. Your people and mine have lived in fear for too long. Perhaps this bond can teach both what trust truly means." He sighed. "You really believe that, don't you?" She smiled gently. "Elindrans do not jest about unity." The transmission ended, leaving Marcus staring at the fading light of the hologram. He didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or salute. The captain entered moments later, tossing him a data pad. "Orders from command," the captain said. "You're being reassigned to Elindra Prime." Marcus blinked. "What?" "They want you to live with your new partner, diplomatic exchange, they're calling it." Within a week, Marcus found himself aboard an Elindran cruiser, sleek and silent. Every corridor glowed with pale blue light, like moonlight frozen in glass. Elindrans walked past him, bowing slightly, whispering words he didn't understand. He felt like an intruder at his own wedding. Talara met him at the entrance of a grand chamber filled with crystalline pillars. "Welcome to Elindra, my bond partner," she said softly. He glanced around awkwardly. "You could just call me Marcus." Her lips curved faintly. "On my world, we use names only after the first night of bonding." Marcus's eyes widened. "The first... what?" She smiled, clearly enjoying his discomfort. "You humans truly are fascinating." That night, he was given a private room in the Elindran Hall of Union. The walls shimmered like living light, and outside his window floated a city built on waterfalls. He tried to sleep, but his thoughts raced. He wasn't sure what scared him more, the alien customs, or how part of him wanted to understand her. Her voice echoed in his mind from earlier. "Perhaps this bond can teach both what trust means." The next morning, the sound of soft chimes woke him. Talara stood at his door, wearing ceremonial armor of silver and blue. "The council wishes to meet you," she said, her tone formal. Marcus followed her through corridors that looked like crystal veins. They entered a grand chamber where the Elindran High Council waited. An elder stepped forward, his skin like starlight. "Human Marcus Hale, do you honor your word of union?" Marcus hesitated, feeling dozens of silver eyes upon him. He wanted to shout that it was all a mistake, but when he looked at Talara, standing proud beside him, something stopped him. She believed in this, truly, and for a reason he couldn't explain. He didn't want to embarrass her. He took a deep breath. "I will honor it," he said quietly. A soft hum filled the air, the pillars pulsing with light. The elder smiled. "Then the bond is sealed before the stars." As the ceremony ended, Talara leaned closer and whispered, "You have given my people hope, Marcus Hale, and perhaps given me something I never expected." He frowned slightly. "What's that?" She met his eyes, her voice barely above a whisper. "A reason to believe humans can love beyond worlds." Outside, the Alindran city lights shimmered like distant stars, and for the first time since the war, the galaxy felt a little less divided. But in the shadows of space, not everyone celebrated. A transmission crackled from a hidden outpost. An unknown voice said coldly, "The human has bound himself to the Alindra. Prepare the fleet. This union will not stand." And so, as peace began to bloom, war quietly stirred again. The Alindran skies shimmered with ribbons of light from the balcony of her quarters. Talara watched the horizon where silver towers met glowing clouds. Beside her, Marcus Hale leaned on the railing, still struggling to understand his new life. The air felt alive, humming softly, and the distant sound of Alindran choirs echoed like wind through crystal. "It's beautiful," Marcus murmured. Talara nodded. "It is the heart of my people's world, the place we protect above all else." He glanced at her, noticing how her silver eyes reflected the light like mirrors. "You talk about it like it's alive," she smiled faintly. "To us, Alindra is not just a world. It is a soul." Their moment of peace broke as a loud tone echoed from her wristband. A holographic screen flashed to life, showing Commander Vel of the Alindran Defense Council. "Envoy Talara, human consort." Vel's voice was sharp. "You are both to return to the palace immediately. The council demands your presence." Talara frowned. "What has happened?" Vel hesitated before answering. "A signal. An unauthorized transmission intercepted near the human border." Marcus straightened. "From where?" Vel's face darkened. "From the remnants of the Chiron Dominion." The name made Talara's expression tighten. Marcus didn't know much about the cairn, but the silence that followed told him enough. "They're the ones who refuse to accept peace," she finally said. "They believe the war never ended." Marcus exhaled slowly. "And now they know about us?" She nodded grimly. "Yes, and to them, our bond is a betrayal." When they entered the council chamber, the room buzzed with tension. Dozens of Alindran leaders surrounded a holographic display, a massive fleet emerging from dark space. Each ship bore the red emblem of the Chiron. Jagged like a scar across the stars, Vel pointed at the display. "They are massing at the neutral zone. Their leader, Warlord Dravak, has issued a challenge." Talara's eyes narrowed. "What kind of challenge?" Vel's expression hardened. "Trial by combat. He demands the human who married into our bloodline face him." The room went silent. Marcus blinked. "Wait. Me?" Vel nodded. "They say you dishonored both species by speaking sacred vows in jest." Talara stepped forward instantly, her voice sharp. "That is absurd." "He is not a warrior of their rank." Vel's tone was calm. "It does not matter. The challenge was broadcast across the network. If we refuse, they will call it cowardice and strike." Marcus rubbed his temples. "You've got to be kidding me." But Talara turned to him, her expression unreadable. "They will not stop, Marcus. To them, symbols matter more than armies. If you decline, the peace we built will shatter." He looked at her in disbelief. "So what? I fight some alien warlord in space just to prove I wasn't joking?" Her voice softened. "Not to prove you weren't joking, to prove you meant something." For a long moment, he said nothing, just stared at the glowing holograms of ships surrounding Alindra Prime. Then he straightened his shoulders and said, "All right, let's find out what they're afraid of." Later in the Alindran armory, Talara watched as engineers fitted him with a combat exosuit. The armor gleamed silver and black, flexible but strong, its power core pulsing with soft light. "This thing looks expensive," he muttered. Adjusting the shoulder plates, Talara smiled faintly. "It was designed for high-ranking envoys, not warriors. But it will keep you alive, mostly." He shot her a look. "That's not comforting." Her tone softened. Do not fear. I will not let them harm you. Marcus looked at her, surprised by the intensity in her voice. Why do you care so much? He asked quietly. Her gaze met his, steady and warm. Because when you spoke those words, even as a jest, something in me believed them. Hours later, the Elendran flagship Aurora's Grace drifted into orbit. The Chiron fleet waited like a dark storm, engines burning crimson. A single transmission cut through the silence, the voice deep and cold. Human, it growled. You claim the right to bind with our ancient enemy. Come prove your worth or die a fool. Marcus stood at the front of the Elendran deck. Heart pounding, he turned to Talara and said softly, If I don't come back, she interrupted firmly. You will. He nodded once, stepping into the combat shuttle. The hatch closed, sealing with a metallic hiss. From the observation deck, Talara watched the small human craft glide toward the dark fleet. Her hand clenched around her wristband, her voice a whisper. Do not fail me, Marcus Hale, for this time I would not forgive the stars for taking you. And somewhere in the black void ahead, Warlord Dravak smiled. Let us see, he murmured. If humanity bleeds as easily as it jokes. The dark space between the fleets glowed with the light of distant stars. In the center floated a single platform of shimmering energy, the Cairn dueling ring. Forged from plasma and pride, Marcus Hale stood upon it, armored in the Elendran exosuit, the weight of two civilizations pressing on his shoulders across from him. A massive figure emerged, Warlord Dravak, his armor black as obsidian, spikes curving from his shoulders, eyes burning like molten amber. The Cairn's voice echoed through the comms. So this is the human who mocks sacred vows. Marcus exhaled slowly, steadying his breathing. I didn't mock anything. It was a misunderstanding. Dravak's laughter rumbled like thunder. Words spoken to an Elendran are never empty, human today. You pay for your arrogance and from the Elendran flagship. Talara watched the duel with clenched fists. Her lips whispered softly. Marcus, remember what I taught you about resonance? The duel began with a roar of engines. Dravak's armor ignited with crimson light. Launching forward like a meteor, Marcus rolled aside, feeling the plasma blade slice past where his head had been. He barely had time to activate his shield before the next strike came. The impact sent him skidding across the platform, sparks flaring from his boots. Inside his helmet, his pulse raced. Okay, he muttered. So this guy doesn't play around. He activated the suit's neural link, Elendran tech designed to synchronize mind and machine. A soft voice whispered in his ear. Talara's voice transmitted from the ship. Trust your instincts, Marcus. The armor reacts to emotion. Let it feel what you feel. He took a deep breath and focused. The armor hummed, glowing faintly blue, matching his heartbeat when Dravak charged again. Marcus met him head-on. Their blades clashed, light exploding between them for a moment. Marcus thought he saw surprise flicker in the warlord's eyes. You fight like no soldier, Dravak growled. Marcus grinned beneath his helmet. That's because I'm not one. He ducked under another strike, twisting his blade and slamming the energy core into Dravak's chest. The shockwave rippled through the platform. Dravak staggered but didn't fall, instead laughing. Good, human. Good. Show me your fury. From the Elendran deck, the council watched in silence. Even Vel whispered, The human holds his ground. Talara's eyes, however, never left the screen. She felt something stir within her. Pride, fear, and something deeper. Something dangerously close to affection. The duel raged for what felt like hours. The stars themselves seemed to lean closer, watching the clash of two worlds. Then with a sudden twist, Dravak disarmed him, sending Marcus's blade spinning into the void. The warlord raised his own weapon high, ready to strike the final blow. Marcus's HUD flashed red, his armor near critical. But then through the static, Talara's voice came again. Marcus, listen to me. The resonance core inside your armor. Strike it with your fist, he blinked. What? That'll blow me up. Trust me, she said firmly. The armor was built to convert kinetic energy. It will release your emotion as power. With no time to think, he raised his fist and slammed it into the armor's chest plate. The suit flared to life, flooding the platform with a burst of radiant blue light. Energy erupted outward, pure and wild. Dravak roared as the shockwave sent him flying backward, his armor cracking, his blade shattering. When the light faded, Marcus stood barely upright. Smoke rising from his armor, Dravak knelt before him, panting, then lowered his head. Enough, he growled. You have proven your worth. Human, your spirit burns bright even in the void. The Cairn fleet began to pull back, their ships retreating into the darkness. The duel was over, but its echoes rippled through the galaxy. Back aboard the Aurora's Grace, Talara rushed to meet him in the medbay. He was sitting on the edge of a table, armor scorched, face pale but smiling. Did I win? He asked weakly. She placed a hand on his cheek, her touch gentle. You did more than that. You changed how they see us. He chuckled. All from a bad joke. Her silver eyes softened. Perhaps not so bad, if it led us here. But even as they shared that quiet moment far from Melindra Prime, a shadowed figure watched the footage of the duel on a cracked monitor. A distorted voice whispered, "The human survived just as predicted. Then the prophecy may be true." Another voice replied, "Begin phase 2. The bond between them must be tested." And somewhere deep in the cold expanse of space, a new storm began to rise. The battle was over, yet the galaxy did not rest. Whispers spread through every channel, from mining outposts to royal palaces. A human had fought a Cairn warlord and lived, and worse, the Elindrans had called him one of their own. To many it was a miracle, to others it was a threat. Marcus Hale awoke in the Elindran medical wing, the air faintly glowing with blue mist. Machines hummed softly. Scanning his body while light wove through his skin like silver threads, he groaned. Please tell me I'm not in another dimension. From the corner of the room, a familiar voice answered, No, just in my care. Talara stepped forward, her expression calm but her eyes warm. You slept for 2 cycles, Marcus. Your body needed to synchronize with the Elindran resonance field. He frowned. Meaning? She smiled faintly. Meaning your heart now beats half a second slower than before. Aligned with Elindran rhythm, he blinked. You're kidding. She shook her head. When you activated the armor's core, it didn't just protect you, it bonded with your life energy. He sighed. So I'm half alien now. Not half, she said softly, but linked forever. Before he could respond, the doors hissed open and Elder Saris of the Council entered. His silver robe shimmered like liquid glass, his voice deep and slow. The bond has awakened the prophecy, he said simply. Marcus frowned. Prophecy? You mean like space destiny? The elder ignored his sarcasm. Long ago, before the war, our ancestors spoke of a union between light and shadow, 2 hearts from opposite worlds whose joining would realign the stars. Talara's eyes widened. That was only myth, Elder. Saris turned to her. And yet the resonance patterns in the human's body match those of the ancient archives. He gestured toward the wall, and a holographic mural appeared. It showed 2 figures, one human, one Elindran, standing together beneath a great storm of light. Marcus stared at it, his throat dry. That's impossible. Perhaps, the elder said, but the universe does not care for impossibility. Later that night, Marcus and Talara stood on the palace balcony overlooking the city. The twin moons hung above them, one gold, one blue. So, Marcus said, I'm apparently part of some 1,000-year-old prophecy, no big deal. Talara turned to him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. Do you feel it? He frowned. Feel what? She placed her hand on his chest just above his heart. The resonance, the rhythm of Elindra, it connects us now. It's why your pulse matches mine. He swallowed hard. You mean this bond? It's real, isn't it? She nodded slowly. Yes. And it frightens me. Before they could say more, alarms erupted across the city. A crimson light flashed in the sky. The Cairn fleet had returned. Larger this time, from the command spire, Vel's voice echoed. Multiple signatures approaching from uncharted sectors. They're not Cairn. Talara's expression darkened. Another faction. Vel replied. Unknown vessels, but they carry Elindran energy readings. Moments later, the sky cracked open as dozens of black ships descended. Unlike the Cairn's jagged warcraft, these were smooth and organic like living metal. Marcus stared. Those don't look friendly. Talara's voice was a whisper. They shouldn't exist. Those are from the precursor line. A massive ship appeared at the center, shaped like a blade of light. A voice echoed across every comm channel, cold and ancient. Descendants of Elindra, your forbidden bond has awakened what was sealed. Return the resonance bearer or face erasure. The palace shook as the first beam struck the outer shields. Marcus grabbed Talara's arm. Who the hell are they? She whispered. They are our creators, the architects of our world, and they believe no lesser being should share their blood. He looked at her, stunned. So they want me dead because I married the wrong alien? Her voice trembled for the first time. Because you fulfilled the one thing they feared, unity. Outside, the city lights dimmed as the precursor fleet gathered power. Elder Sirius's voice came through the comms. Envoy Talara, human Marcus Hale. You must flee to the archives. The prophecy's heart lies there. Only its truth can stop them, Marcus gritted his teeth. Then let's move. Talara nodded, her eyes burning with resolve. For Alindra, and for us, they ran through glowing corridors as explosions thundered above. The night sky burned with falling debris, the once peaceful city now caught between gods and mortals. Behind them, the precursor voice whispered through the static. You cannot stop what was written. The bond must be broken. But as they reached the ancient archives, Marcus turned to Talara, his voice low but certain. Then we'll rewrite it, he said, together. The Alindran night had turned into chaos. The city that once glowed with silver light now burned with orange flame. The precursor fleet rained beams of energy from orbit, cutting through defense grids like paper, yet beneath the ground deep below the palace ruins. Marcus Hale and Talara raced through the crystal tunnels toward the one place untouched by time, the forbidden archives. Their footsteps echoed across walls lined with strange markings. Symbols glowed faintly as they passed, responding to Talara's presence. This place feels alive, Marcus whispered. Talara nodded, her eyes scanning the ancient patterns. It is. The archives were built from Alindra's living crystal. They remember everything. At the tunnel's end, a colossal gate stood waiting. It was shaped like an unblinking eye, carved from starlight and shadow. Talara pressed her hand against the surface, and the crystal pulsed in response. Access granted. Blood of Alindra, a soft voice said. Neither male nor female, the gate split open, revealing a vast chamber filled with floating platforms and pillars of glowing data. In the center stood a giant sphere of light, the heart of the archives. Marcus stepped forward cautiously. So this is where you keep your secrets? Talara's voice was reverent. No, Marcus, this is where our gods hid the truth. She moved to a nearby console, her fingers tracing glowing symbols. The chamber flickered, and suddenly, thousands of images surrounded them. Human faces, ships, wars, and galaxies. All recorded long before human history began. Marcus's heart pounded. That's Earth, that's us. Talara's expression turned to shock. Impossible, these records are millions of years old. A voice echoed from the sphere. Deep and ancient. Nothing is impossible. Child of Alindra, for your kind and his are not strangers. You were once one. They both froze, staring as the light coalesced into a humanoid figure. It was tall, featureless, and made entirely of silver light. Who are you? Marcus asked. I am the keeper, guardian of what was erased, the figure replied. Talara stepped forward. Erased by who? The precursors, the keeper said. They created both your species. Humanity and Alindra were born from the same seed, one of spirit, one of reason. Divided to prevent power beyond control, Marcus felt his chest tighten. You're saying humans and Alindrans are family? In a way, the keeper answered. Two halves of the same design separated so you would never unite, Talara whispered. Because our union could recreate what they feared. Yes, said the keeper. Together, your bond reawakens the resonance, the power to reshape the fabric of reality. Marcus looked at Talara, speechless. All this from a stupid joke. Her lips trembled into a small smile. Maybe fate has a sense of humor. Before they could say more, the ground trembled violently. The precursor fleet had found them, beams of white light piercing through the upper levels. The keeper's form flickered. They come to silence the truth again. But the resonance cannot be destroyed, only passed on. He turned toward Marcus and Talara, his voice now filled with urgency. You must merge your energies through the heart. Only then can the resonance be awakened. It will protect Alindra. And humanity, Talara hesitated. But the merge could destroy us. Marcus took her hand, his voice steady. Or save everyone. I'll take those odds. The keeper extended his hand toward them, and the heart of the archives began to glow brighter. Light surrounded them as they stepped into the center. The crystal walls pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. merging blue and red into a single golden hue. Talara looked into Marcus's eyes, her voice soft but firm. "No matter what happens, I'm glad it was you," he smiled faintly. "Same here. Partner." They pressed their hands together on the heart's surface. A blinding surge of energy exploded outward, shaking the planet itself. For a moment, there was nothing but white light and silence. Then, through the roar of power, Marcus heard the Keeper's voice one last time. "The bond is complete. The resonance is reborn." Far above, the precursor ships faltered, their weapons flickering. A massive golden wave burst from Alindra's surface, engulfing the fleet. The light didn't destroy them, it transformed them. Their black hulls shimmered and vanished into dust, scattered among the stars like ash in the wind. When the light faded, the world was silent again. The fires had stopped. The skies glowed with calm silver light. At the center of the ruined city, the archives still pulsed gently, and within its heart, two figures floated in suspended light, hands still joined. Silence. That was the first thing Marcus felt when his consciousness returned, a silence so deep it felt like the universe had stopped breathing. He opened his eyes slowly, expecting fire, chaos, or pain. But instead, there was light, warm, golden, endless light. He floated weightlessly within it, the light hummed softly, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Then a voice broke through, soft, familiar, steady. "Marcus." He turned, and there she was, Talara, standing within the light, her silver eyes glowing brighter than ever. Her hair flowed like liquid starlight, her form surrounded by gentle waves of gold and blue energy. "Where are we?" he whispered. Talara stepped closer. "Inside the resonance field between the material and the eternal." He frowned slightly. "So we're dead?" She smiled faintly. Not dead, changed, around them. The golden light began to take shape. Images formed in the glow. Alindra's skies healing, cities rising again. Humans on distant colonies looking up at stars that now shimmered with the same golden hue. The voice of the Keeper echoed faintly. "The resonance has rewritten the bond between your species. Peace has been encoded into the pulse of existence." Marcus watched, stunned. "We actually did it," Talara nodded. "The war is over. The precursors are gone, and the galaxy will remember this day as the dawn of unity." He laughed softly, the sound echoing through the light, and all it took was one bad joke. Talara tilted her head with that same calm expression he had come to love. "Perhaps not a joke, Marcus, perhaps a promise waiting to be spoken." The golden waves rippled around them again, showing new scenes, human fleets aiding Alindran colonies. Alindran healers teaching humans to harness resonance energy. Two civilizations once divided by fear now working side by side. Guided by stories of the bonded pair, Marcus looked down at his hands, noticing faint trails of light running through his veins. "What's happening to us?" he asked quietly. Talara reached out, placing her hand over his. "The resonance is within us now. It remade us to protect the balance. We are not just human or Alindran anymore," he smiled slightly. "Then what are we?" She looked into his eyes. "We are the bridge." Suddenly, the light pulsed and the vision shifted. They were standing atop Alindra's highest spire, the city rebuilt and shining like crystal. Crowds of humans and Alindrans filled the streets below, their voices rising together in a song of unity. Marcus blinked, realizing the light had solidified. This wasn't vision anymore. This was real. "We're back," he breathed. Talara nodded, though her voice trembled with awe. "Yes." But not as before. Vel approached them, his armor gleaming, bowing deeply. "Envoy Talara, human Marcus Hale, or whatever you are now. The council awaits." "They call you the Resonance," Marcus chuckled. "That's not bad branding." Talara smiled softly. "You always find humor in the impossible." When they entered the council chamber, all fell silent. Elder Sarah stood before them, tears glimmering in his ancient eyes. "For centuries we feared the bond between species would destroy us. Yet here you stand, proof that love, even born from misunderstanding, can heal what war could not." Marcus bowed slightly. "We didn't plan any of this, we just chose to believe each other." Saris nodded, "And that is precisely why it worked." As they stepped onto the balcony, the twin suns of Alindra rose above the horizon. Their light blended into gold, washing over both species gathered below. Talara took Marcus's hand, and the crowd erupted in a unified cheer that echoed across the capital. For the first time in galactic history, humans and Elindrans stood as one people. The resonance wave continued to spread through space, connecting every inhabited world with a pulse of harmony that could be felt, not seen. Marcus turned to her, his voice quiet amid the thunderous celebration. "So what now?" Talara smiled, the kind of smile that carried 1,000 unspoken promises. "Now, we build something worthy of the gift we've been given." He looked out over the crowd, over the cities rising again from the ruins, and whispered, "Then let's make the stars remember." As the light of dawn wrapped around them, the heart of the archives pulsed one last time deep beneath the surface, recording this moment not as prophecy but as truth, the union of two souls who rewrote the fate of galaxies. And so began the age of resonance, where love, courage, and the power of a single human word reshaped eternity.